Well, hello everybody and welcome back to another Sunday special. I'm so glad to be back. Last week I missed it because I was on vacation, but I am back here to do some more technical and fundamental analysis going into the week ahead. We will be taking a look at a couple different currency pairs and talking about trade setups to consider some trade ideas and some things that I'm personally looking at going into the week ahead. Today is Sunday. The markets will be opening up in the next 12 hours or so, a little bit longer than that actually, but at the time of recording this, but the markets will be opening and we'll be talking about some of the setups and ideas that we can be maybe looking forward to or possible forecasts for this week. So with that said, let's go ahead and jump into today's video. Now, where I usually like to start is the DXY. This is the US dollar currency index. This gives us basically a big view as to what's going on with the US dollar. Now, if you're tracking the US dollar, maybe you're trading gold, maybe you're trading the euro or the pound or some form of something that has the dollar in it. I like to keep an eye on this just to give a general perspective as to dollar strength or in some cases dollar weakness. But recently the dollar has been really, really strong. And it is my personal opinion that that strength is set to likely continue overall. Now we have taken a pause on the dollar. So if we take a look here, you can see we were screaming to the upside, really, really good strength there. And then now we sort of have topped out a little bit here up at that 94.5 zone. We have now come down from that. We've come pulling back off of those highs. And now the question is the buyer sort of sitting just here below, or are we set to continue lower? Well, we are looking at a daily chart. So let's get our fibs on here just to give an idea of where we currently sit. So what you'll notice is I'll take the moving averages off for a second, and you can see pretty clearly that the 38.2% retracement is an area of interest for the buyers. It is just a question of whether or not they can actually make significant progress to push off and maybe push back up to the previous high. Now, of course, when you see a big movement to the upside, it is very natural to see pullbacks and retracements before continuations, right? This is kind of a period of time, a consolidation point where buyers who are maybe interested are looking for that discount. And then once the discount really comes into play, if the buyers are still there, we would expect a continuation in the overall trend. And that is not the first time that this has happened on the dollar. You can actually see the dollar has done that many, many times on both a big and smaller term scale. So we had this big impulsive move, pullback, impulsive move, pullback, impulsive move, and now we're seeing a pullback. So it is my expectation that most likely, I think that the dollar is going to continue higher here in 2021. Now, will I be right about that? Possibly. We'll see. Short term, we will see all sorts of things. Maybe we come down lower. Maybe we try and tag that 50% retracement. But I think that the 38.2% where we currently sit is a good place to at least start to look for, hey, maybe there are some buyers in this zone. So that is my personal opinion looking at the dollar. I think that this week, maybe we see a bit more of a bounce here off of that 38.2. Right now, we're consolidating, so we will have to wait and see if price can make a significant bounce off of that level. Let's go take a look at one of my favorite currency pairs to be trading right now, which is EURUSD. I am looking for shorts on this pair. We're looking at the daily chart. Let's drop it down. Actually, you know what? Before we look at the 4-hour chart, let me just show you this. So depending on how you draw your fibs, if you draw from the closes, we actually just tagged a 38.2% retracement level. But either ways, it does look like price is pulling back to a pretty significant area of both resistance in terms of supply and demand from this previous level here, as well as that 38.2% retracement level, which can act as resistance as well. So we had this big impulsive move to the downside, sellers just completely dominating this market for an extended period of time. We are seeing buyers step in. I am expecting personally this move to fail. I think that the euro dollar could head back down to the lows and could even break for a new low of the year. That is my personal opinion, and I'm not always right. So please don't think that just because I say that, the euro USD is absolutely going to crumble. But I did actually take a position on this trade, on this currency pair, and do plan to be trading it in the next few weeks. So let me go ahead and pull that up for you. So here is my current position on the euro USD. It's pretty much flat right now, but I ended up taking a short last week on the euro against the dollar. And my stop loss was pretty tight on there. I basically shorted at resistance just around that 38.2% retracement level. And I basically said that technical analysis, as we have been mentioning, the dollar has been very strong overall. We've been on an uptrend for that dollar. And basically on the retracement here, as the euro got a little bit of strength, I was looking to actually sell into that strength. And I'm going to talk about that in a second, but also the fundamentals are a big part of my trading strategy. So whenever I am looking to buy or sell a currency or a currency against another currency, right? Whenever I'm trading crosses, I'm pretty much looking for a strong versus a weak currency. And I believe the euro to be fairly weak right now, and I believe the dollar to be fairly strong right now from a fundamental perspective. So generally speaking, the lagging European area in terms of monetary policy and in GDP growth, which we'll take a look in just a second, basically has me looking more on the short side for the euro. And that progressive hawkish tone from the Fed looks to be strong for me. So although this trade may come to break even, or it may hit my stop loss or whatever, I'm still very interested in looking at the EURUSD in the next several weeks. I'll be keeping this keeping tabs on this currency pair heavily. It is currently one of my most favorite currency pairs to be trading it. So I do have that trade. So anytime I take a trade inside of our private Discord, what I do is I share the trade. I share what I'm actually doing and why. It's not just a signal service. It is basically me sharing my journal, my trading journal, right? So I explain why I'm shorting or why I'm buying something. I give the entry. So there's my sell level, my stop loss point, and I don't have a take profit personally because I basically I use trailing stops, right? So I'm trailing a stop if price goes in my favor, and I send out updates anytime I do anything on this channel here. So if you'd like access to this channel, what you can do is you can sign up for our VIP service, which is down below in the description. So you just go down, it's the first link in the description, you get access on our website, and then you can join us here, and you can keep up to date with what I am personally doing in the markets, as well as our other analysts, Patrick, Ryan. You can join our chat room. We have all sorts of different perks available to our members here inside of the A1 Trading Discord. So check it out down below in the description. But anyways, I am looking for more downside in the euro. We'll see if that can play out. Of course, any trades that I take will be shared inside of the Discord, but I am liking this 38.2. Going to give us a try this week to see if that can play out overall. So what we'll do here is now we'll take a look at the pound against the dollar. Actually, one more thing that I forgot to mention here before I look on, let me go here. So I also wanted to show you just a little bit of an insight here in terms of the euro area GDP growth. So check this out. In terms of the euro, you can see that we have seen, since the pandemic stuff, right? We had this big drop everywhere around the world. We saw a big drop in GDP, right? Which was very, very much expected. When you have shutdowns like that, it can be catastrophic for economies. And then we had some recovery in the euro area. But check this out. Since then, we've pretty much been subpar seeing reactions to GDP growth in Europe, right? Then we look, comparatively speaking, at the US, right? Look at this. Big spike to the downside, right? Definitely a big scare there with that, but then roaring back. Very, very strong GDP growth in the last several quarters. That has me pretty bullish on the dollar, right? This is bullish for the US dollar. That is basically showing signs of strength and recovery, which the Fed may take as a tone to sort of be like, okay, well, we can look to raise rates eventually. We can tighten monetary policy. We don't need to spend so much money on stimulus at this point. That's all positive for the dollar in my view. So in my view, I think that this, just these two charts show me a good representation as to why I am bearish bias on the euro and bullish biased on the US dollar. So just wanted to share that as a little extra insight. I hope that's helpful to you guys. For those of you who are newer to fundamentals, sometimes charts like that can be very helpful. So yeah, that's kind of what I'm looking at. Next up is the pound dollar. The pound dollar, not so clear to me. I am pretty much flat on this in terms of a bias. I do like the pound. I think the UK is recovering quite well, as in addition to the US. Not so clear as, looking at that euro dollar, which is my favorite trade at this moment. But anyways, still, from just a technical charting perspective, you do have some resistance here. You've got some resistance here. And to be fair to the buyers, you do also have support below. So where we currently sit, I would expect most likely price to just kind of go back and forth, if anything, based on my fundamental perspective. Now, I could be, we could see some surprising change in data this week, which definitely could cause the pound to go, in a new direction. But for right now, I am pretty much unbiased on the pound dollar, so I can't really give a clear, hey, here's trade setups that I love. Just being honest with you guys. So next up, we'll take a look at USD CAD, because we do actually have, let me go back to this for a second. We do have CAD news this week, which is a big deal. We have actually monetary policy news for the Bank of Canada, which definitely has the potential to seriously move the CAD currency pairs. Things like CAD yen, dollar CAD, right? Euro CAD. Those things could be moved tremendously by a big monetary policy statement. Because again, remember, monetary policy, unemployment, GDP, things that are happening to the actual economies of these currencies that we are trading, that's what's really driving the price. The price, believe it or not, is not going up or down solely because you had some form of a pin bar, right? As much as that would be great if it was that simple, that's not the only thing that's really driving these prices. If you have something from the Bank of Canada this week that is incredibly hawkish, we could see the Canadian dollar increase in value for the next 3 weeks. If the Bank of Canada has something that is very, very dovish or not super bullish for their economy, right? If they express concerns in some way, that could cause the inverse effect. We could see a significant decline in the Canadian dollar for several weeks. So keeping tabs on things like this fundamentally is really important to me, because I find it, okay, well, this is setting the tone for the Canadian dollar. Are things going to be bullish for the next 2 weeks, right? So that's kind of what I mean when I point out some of these economic events that are happening. They can be seriously market moving, way more than just what is showing up to be a head and shoulders pattern on the 1 hour chart, right? There is bigger things at play here in the currency market than just technical analysis, in my personal opinion. Well, not even just my opinion. It's just objectively true, right? The reality is the markets are moved by these events tremendously. So, but anyways, we have CPI for Australia on Tuesday, nothing on Monday, so Monday should be quiet. But then towards the center of the week, that Wednesday event with Canada could be very market impacting. So I wanted to go back and take a look at the dollar against the Canadian dollar, see how things are going here. So as you can see on the daily chart, the dollar, even though the dollar has been strong, the Canadian dollar has been stronger, which is causing this chart to actually decline on the daily outlook here, right? So if you're looking at the Canadian dollar, of course, I think that Wednesday is going to be your biggest thing to watch out for, because again, if that monetary policy comes out as very hawkish or very dovish, that could set the tone for direction when looking at the dollar against the CAD. So I can't give you a absolute forecast of what's going to happen there, but if the trend is set to continue that we've seen post-pandemic, right? This decline, there's your pandemic back here. We've seen the Canadian dollar continue to strengthen over time in recovery mode. So if we think that that is likely to continue, which I would say is very possible, you could see stuff like this. You could see retracements and continuations. And again, it's going to depend on what monetary policy statements come out to be or what they have to say that could be market impacting. But generally speaking, looking at the daily chart, I do like this area for a possible sell going with the flow here, especially if you're dollar bearish. Dollar CAD might be something to consider taking a look at because the dollar overall is very strong, but relative to the Canadian dollar, it is actually sort of not doing so hot because that CAD is so strong. But anyways, we could also take a look at CAD yen. CAD yen might be even more interesting. I love the idea of buying a retracement here. So if we're looking at CAD yen, for example, maybe you get the chance to look at that 38.2 a little closer if things come down. Maybe there's some opportunities there. You do have possibly some support here back from mid-July, right? A little bit of ways away, but still, the market has some form of a memory. So you may have lots of traders who are saying, hey, you know what? I like that 38.2, and that just may be enough to sort of continue the flow of traffic here to the upside that we've seen on the Canadian dollar against the Japanese yen. So I do like that one quite a bit. Speaking of yen pairs for just a moment, pound yen, we could take a look at this one as well. So price already kind of coming back to this zone. I wouldn't rush to be buying this personally. I think that this move has been quite extended to the upside, though I am very bullish on this pair. I do like the idea of more upside. I personally would like a little bit more of a retracement, right? So something, maybe a move back to that 38.2 could be an area of interest, just to find some more solid buyers to continue this trend with. That is my personal opinion. Also, the RSI, if it comes down to a little bit oversold, that could be a little bit more interesting to me personally, just to show that on the shorter time frames we're getting that extended move down, just showing that maybe we have a little bit better of a chance of getting a nice discount there on the bounce back. So a couple things to look out for on the pound yen. Next up, we can take a look at Aussie yen. We haven't looked at any of the Aussie currency pairs. The Australian dollar incredibly strong right now. We are seeing the Aussie and the NZD take the lead in a lot of ways. Monetary policy for them is looking pretty good in terms of NZD. I know that they're actually, I need to do a little bit more research on that, but I believe monetary policy is looking very hawkish for NZD. So that could, kind of carry over into AUD as well, right? As these two economies are fairly correlated to some degree, right? You get a lot of similarities between them. They both do a lot of trade with China, and they have that Pacific economy that they share. So anyways, maybe a 38.2% retracement could be inbound there if we get a little bit more sell-off. If the yen comes back into play a bit, little bit of strength there could get us down to these levels, which personally I can see myself looking for buys. My favorite here possibly being a move back to that 61.8% retracement. So next up, we'll take a look at gold. So gold, really, really not interesting to me personally right now. I know that a lot of people have been asking me for gold analysis and saying, Nick, where's gold going? Is it going up? Is it going down? But I have to be honest with you, this is just not an interesting, there's so many, in my view right now, there's so many more interesting things to be trading than gold. Gold is very back and forth. We don't see a clear direction for gold. And if anything, I think that gold naturally flows to the downside at this time in response to dollar strength. Now, I love to be trading gold on the long side personally. I don't love to trade gold to the short side. So what would get me back interested in gold is if the dollar came down real hard, right? And we started to see something shift. If we saw stimulus return or something that really caused the dollar to decline, right? That could be something that drives gold higher. Because remember, if the dollar goes, if we're looking at gold, right, and we're saying, hey, if the dollar comes down, that could drive gold up. Well, right now the dollar's very strong, so we don't see that happening. But if the dollar does start to decline and we see a change in sentiment big time, then of course, maybe there's a breakout here. And this breakout is really what would get me very interested in gold again, would be a break of that 1830 level, which we have seen multiple times fail by the buyers, right? Sellers come in, push it back down. So if we can get a breakout, then absolutely. I am very interested in returning my outlooks on gold and things like that. But I have to be honest with you guys, as I try to always be, gold is just not interesting to me right now. And I know, you have to understand, I'm a content creator, so I know that gold is a very hot topic and it's very interesting to a lot of traders. So I know that it is pretty good for views and stuff, but I'm not here to just only collect views. I am here to actually genuinely share my trading experience and my outlook and ideas. I'm an actual, trader and analyst. So if it's not interesting to me, I'm not going to make something up. So anyways, gold, like I said, we had a little bit of a pop there on Friday. Very nice move there, but then the retracement came in hard. A lot of rejection there. So in my mind, the path of least resistance for gold has to kind of be to the downside, right? Just in response to my bullish bias on the US dollar. So if we get something with inflation concerns spike again or something new happens, of course, I'll revisit this, and you guys know I'll get you on that that coverage. But for now, just staying to the sides on gold personally. Guys, I want to remind you, there's actually a bunch of free stuff in our description down below. So my team and I have put together a ton of free resources for you. I want to encourage you, just go down below this video in the description. You can get access to some free PDFs. You can join our Discord. You can join our email newsletter for trade ideas throughout the week. There's so many free things for you that our team puts together. Literally like 75–80% of what we offer is free. And then there is, of course, the premium stuff. If you really like the work that I do on YouTube and the team that we have here at A1 Trading, if you like all that stuff, I encourage you, try out the free stuff first. And if you like it, consider some of the premium stuff that we offer. I really do think that it can take you to the next level. With that said, guys, thank you so much for watching. If you're new to my channel, hit that like button down below. Subscribe for more of this content. We do all sorts of stuff throughout the week. And if you're serious about Forex, this is the place to be. No nonsense, down to earth, real trading stuff on this channel and all of our content that we put out. So thank you so much for watching, and we will see you back next time. Have a great week.